So you've been looking at a BMW with the N54 engine, but you've heard that this may not be the most reliable engine in the BMW lineup. Hi guys, and welcome back to the Simple Car Guide channel. Today we will talk about the history, common problems, issues solved over time, and how reliable the engine is 15 years later, as well as my personal experience. The reason I'm making this video is because I owned a BMW 335i E92 with the N54 engine for about 4 years from 2013 to 2017, and I wanted to catch myself up and see how reliable it has been since I've sold my car. This also is part of a small series where I'm looking into engines I own or have owned in the past and creating a reliability report just like this video. BMW N55 video is coming up soon, so subscribe to see that and hit that like button to support the channel. BMW N54 is one of the best straight-six engines ever made by BMW, for a few very good reasons. Not only was it the first mass-produced BMW turbocharged engine, but it also came with forged crankshaft and connecting rods, leaving huge tuning potential. Even though the stock engine only made about 302 horsepower, it's not very difficult to get it up to 500 horsepower, or even much more. So how can this reward-winning engine have issues? Well, while the actual engine has had some amazing innovations in engineering, a lot of the accessories and the auxiliary components are not as well designed. Of course, when looking at a used BMW with the N54 engine, it doesn't help that a lot of them have been tuned and driven hard, very hard. So let's take a look at some common problems you can expect on the BMW N54 engine. Even though there were 3 different power figures for this engine, mechanically it's basically the same. I'll go over the difference between the standard N54 B30 and the N54 B30 TO that was used in the 1 Series M-Coupe and the Z4 S-Drive 35IS later in the video. But let's start with the standard N54 B30 engine. The biggest and most common issue that has haunted the N54 engine since the start is of course the high pressure fuel pump, which goes bad and prevents the engine from starting, sometimes stuttering and misfiring, or just not running well in general. It was such a big issue that BMW has extended the warranty on these to 10 years or 120,000 miles, at least in the United States. The good part here is that most of the cars have already had the pump replaced with the revised version while under warranty. Another big common problem on the N54 engine is the electric water pump that uses some plastic parts. Who thought of using plastic parts on the water pump? I don't know. These fail unexpectedly and usually at the worst time. I've had 2 OEM water pumps fail on me when I had the car. I got the yellow triangle saying that the engine is running hot, and within 2 minutes a red triangle with a message saying to drive moderately and to shut off the engine as it is basically overheating. Unlike the high pressure fuel pump, there is no extended warranty or anything like that, and unfortunately the pump is very difficult to get to. I paid around $1,000 each time it failed, at least in Chicago. The pump is about $400, a little bit more, and the labor is at least that much again. These engines also suffer from leaky injectors. BMW N54 uses direct injection, and these injectors must be very precise for the engine to work correctly. Unfortunately, when they start leaking, it can cause many different problems, including hard to start engine, especially once warmed up, rough idle, and misfires, as well as terrible fuel economy, among many other issues. Of course, some of these symptoms can be caused by a bad spark plug or coil, and I would definitely recommend replacing those before touching the injectors, as they are at least $250 each. Or at least get the car scanned properly and see what codes you come up with. Next issue that's common in many BMW engines, including the N54, is the Wastegate Rattle. Early on, this isn't a huge issue as it mostly just makes a rattling noise on startup, but it gets worse and worse over time. Eventually, the wastegate flapper starts leaking boost and causing performance issues. If not taken care of at this stage, the ECU will try to compensate for lack of boost, potentially overheating and destroying the turbocharger, and maybe even the engine if metal gets into the intake. In addition to the wastegate rattle issues, turbo seals can fail and cause smoke out of the exhaust. These issues are more common on tuned or really hard driven cars. Small piece of advice here is to not punch it hard until the engine is fully warmed up, and let the engine idle for just a little bit, like 30 seconds after driving it really hard before you shut off the car. If you have watched my BMW N20 engine video, this will sound very familiar. There are a few oil leaks to watch out for, and the most common one is the valve cover oil leak. Usually the plastic valve cover will crack and start leaking. Sometimes the gasket goes bad as well, and the entire cover should be ideally replaced. It's important to get this done quickly, as it would be leaking oil onto the exhaust manifold, turbos, and the O2 sensors. The oil filter housing gasket is also prone to leaking and should be replaced as soon as possible, as it will leak oil onto the serpentine belt, which can cause all kinds of problems. Oil pan leaks are less common, but possible. The next common issue in these engines is the charge pipe that cracks over time. BMW used a plastic pipe between the intercooler and the intake manifold, which runs under boost a lot of times and of course becomes brittle and eventually fails. I've had this fail on my N54 engine, as it uses the same design, and I've replaced it with an aftermarket one that works much better. This is an easy and inexpensive fix to a common problem. There are of course many other little issues with these engines that you may need to take care of over time, such as the starters going bad just out of nowhere, or Venus solenoids causing loss of power, engine hesitation, rough idle, or even decreased fuel economy. I've actually made a video on how to test and clean these if you're interested, and they make a decently simple DIY. Carbon buildup is another issue that shows up on many lists, but that's common on most direct injected engines and not BMW or this engine specific. As I mentioned earlier, N54 B30TO was the more powerful version of the N54 engine, making 335 horsepower. But this was achieved mostly by adding performance power kit, tune, and some supporting cooling hardware. So the engine itself was the same, but was just a little bit more boost. This also means that all of the problems we have discussed so far are also present on this version of the engine as well. Now, 15 years after it has been released and after so many problems, should you even be looking at buying one? Luckily, this engine has had somewhat of a cult following lately and has become sought after in the tuners world. This also means that most people are trying to preserve it and maintain it properly. Additionally, issues like the high pressure fuel pump and injectors have been resolved from the dealer and mostly done under warranty. Most other issues have been figured out in the aftermarket world with the upgraded turbochargers to get rid of the wastegate rattle and the metal charge pipe to prevent boost leaks. One word of advice: avoid getting an already tuned engine if you plan on dailying your ride. Just a quick note on my personal experience with the engine. Over the period of 4 years and about 55,000 miles, I had to replace the spark plugs, ignition coils, and 2 water pumps, and nothing else. In every video I've made so far about the BMW engines I've owned, people tell me that I just got lucky, and that may be true, but it also doesn't hurt to properly take care of these engines as well. In conclusion, remember, this is an aging BMW motor that was packed with top-of-the-line technology and most likely driven hard by the last owners. So be ready to spend a little bit of money on maintaining it properly. It's a wonderful, powerful, and still one of the more reliable engines made by BMW, with lots of aftermarket support and capability to produce tremendous power. Check out my BMW N20 and N63 engine reliability reports, and stay tuned for the N55 video as well. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.